camera is live and the audio is live as well.
Cool.
Let me come round and welcome everybody. Hello everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the DoES Salon. Hello internet. Hopefully the audio is okay. We've got a different mic for the stream this time than we normally have, but hopefully it will pick up okay. So shout out to Pat. Let me know how the audio is going. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to do about it, but I might be able to fix something. So this evening we've got a talk from two colleagues of mine who work at a company that's based literally below the room that we're in at the moment, at Aeternum, where I work Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I got them to come along and tell us about the air quality sensors that we work on, what we do with those sorts of things. So yeah, I guess without further ado, I shall hand you to Arkin and Tunde, who will tell us about Liverpool's air and presumably beyond. But I don't know. I don't know what the slides have got in them. Like, so yeah. Looking forward to finding out more.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that intro. And yes, as Adrian said, we're from Aeternum. We're based right downstairs, and we make air quality sensors. This is just to explain what our sensors are doing. They do. This is not a sales pitch, I promise. We have two versions of our sensor, an indoor and an outdoor. The whole idea of these sensors when we were developing them was to have a completely autonomous sensor that you can just put up somewhere and it would kind of last for however long it's left there. It's wirelessly connected via internet through NB-IoT or LTE-M, both cellular technologies, focused on IoT devices, and it's also connected via LoRa when there's no cell connectivity. LoRa stands for long range, and it's a very useful kind of tool for IoT devices such as air quality sensors. I think the kind of star bit of this device we've developed throughout the years is the cartridge system. It's essentially the lower bit of the sensor, which you can see. I don't know if does the pointer show up? Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I have a physical one. Might be a bit easier, but the lower part of the sensor is interchangeable, and you can we have developed different cartridges to fit in different needs. Our standard kind of air quality for outdoors, which is kind of what everyone wants to know about, has temperature, pressure, humidity, particulate matter most importantly, and a couple of gases, which we won't be talking too much about gases today. We'll be focusing on particulate matter. But yeah, they include NO2, ozone, VOCs, and CO2. That's the standard version, but we have kind of the capability of swapping in and out different gas sensors and different sensor heads that can kind of focus on different kind of use cases. So, as I said, I'd like to focus on talking about particulate matter today in Liverpool, and the reason why we probably need to talk about particulate matter is that that's kind of what's causing issues in urban areas and beyond. Particulate matter, or PM for short, is any kind of particle that can to an extent be inhaled or can enter the bloodstream of a human being or even animals, etc. Particulate matter is not necessarily inherently bad. It's just particles that are of a certain size. And yeah, to an extent, like as you can see, like beach sand would be considered a particle. There's moisture, water, air is all part of the particulate matter. But there's very bad particles like soot and carbon and other things in the air that can definitely enter the bloodstream, enter the brain, enter internal organs, and start causing a very large amount of issues. It is estimated that 7 million people across the world die each year of respiratory issues. This is not to say that the air quality is directly responsible for 7 million deaths, but it's definitely not helping, and there have been cases where it's been catalogued that people die, like the cause of death is defined as poor air quality. So PM has been, in the last few years, at least in the last decade, been an important focus of all academic studies and etc. Mostly because a lot of the gas, kind of NO2, carbon dioxide, ozone, is to an extent fairly pretty much understood. Not that it's been solved or that it doesn't need to be tackled, but particulate matter is something that people are like, we don't know what's out there and what's good for us, what's not so bad, etc. So yeah, particulate matter is an important factor in our sensors, and most of our customers are also very much interested in particulate matter. Just as a kind of nice image of what this actually is. This is approximately 3 micron soot particle on a silver sort of mixture filter. This is as seen in an electron microscope, and as you can see, obviously it's hard to detect, hard to find, and hard to categorize because particles pretty much look alike when you're looking at them on a microscope. So there's plenty of analysis that need to be done to determine what a certain particle could be. That being said, I think I'm going to now pass on to Tunde, who is going to talk a bit about the multiple projects we've had in Liverpool specifically, and our data analysis with the sensors we've deployed across the city. And yeah, we're not going to talk beyond Liverpool today, but we can mention it later if you want. And so yeah, if you want to go ahead, Tunde.
Yeah, so thank you, Arkin. So what's the use of our sensors if we don't make use of the data? So we've looked at multiple events in Liverpool, and one of them is the popular one, bonfire, that happens around November, is it? Yeah, November 5th of like every year. So I found out that like bonfire happens, but people don't really know what happens like after bonfire, or how the typical air level is before bonfire and the effect after bonfire. So we've looked at this data, looking like 2 weeks before, a week before the bonfire, and also compare them to the week after. And now we've realized that like these particles, they linger around for much longer than we think. And so from these charts, you can see like on bonfire, if you can see it's clearly on looking at the weekly averages, we can see it spikes up about over 200% increase on bonfire night, and then it drops to about like 48%, like in respect to bonfire, which is still higher than 2 weeks before bonfire and a week before bonfire. So you see, like, this still lingers around like throughout the week. So it's kind of like a warning from this data to just be aware that these things, PM 2.5, you can see them, but it's still around. And this is kind of like the pattern it takes, which is also similar. This is for PM 2.5. And PM10 also takes like the same pattern as well. So I don't know if Arkin explain like the different particulate matter we have. So we do have like PM1, PM 2.5, PM10, and the number behind the PM represents the size of the particles. And we also do have PM4 as well, and the sensors we install, the sensors we have do measure all 4, but we can measure 3 at a time, and it can be configurable to choose one. But on our device, we measure the typical ones which we use and our clients consider as important, just PM1, 2.5, and 10. So PM10 and 1 also takes this similar pattern. And then so you can see obviously on bonfire night when it picks up around 6 p.m. and also peaks around 7 p.m. where you expect like high activity. If you also look closely, like still lingers around up till around I think the next day, and this data is based on like 2024 when we did this analysis. So if you look at the week after, the levels are still sort of higher than 2 weeks ago, when we would consider it healthier. So just not to just be aware of these things. And then so we do have a heat map of like comparison of 2024 and 2025, and what we did realize in 2025 is that the effect of bonfire was much lower than 2024, and it was due to like a couple of different reasons, and I think temperature was one of them, and also the wind speed. I think the wind speed was quite high last year, and we do have a little demo.
Test if that link works.
Let's see.
See if it works.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Does the winds just move it on, or does it actually dissipate it?
yeah, it's dissipates depending on the direction, and it's part of one of the projects we're trying to build also, because a lot of things we need to consider, like the buildings and topography, all of that, which are things it's in the working. I'm trying to simulate these things around to capture the real movement of this particulate matters. So this is just so you can see when it starts peaking in 2025, and you can see it's not as high.
Worth noting that the 2024 graph is the one on top, and the 2025 is below, just in case, because I don't know that.
Yeah, so it's at the top left.
And also, maybe I project, but one big important factor, it's very kind of one of these things we encounter constantly with this data is that it sounds very good that from 2024 to 2025 bonfire nights seem to be like the effect of air pollution seem to reduce, which sounds great and amazing, until you see this very simple factor that it was raining in 2025. And so people just didn't light fireworks.
Yeah.
that was an important factor, but it's also, like as Tunde was saying, it's the comparison of the whole week.
Yeah.
Because like people then, if it rains, change their plans.
Yeah. Right. So now then, Yeah, so we also looked at the LFC parade when Liverpool won their title. I don't know who's an Everton fan here, so yeah, yeah. So apart from it is raining as well. Like these sensors could capture, what's it called again? Yeah, the flares. Yeah. So it could capture like all of the flares, and we have a couple of sensors on the strand and around like where the bus route took. And if you look at it on the map, you can see the bus routes down there. You can see it clearly. And we also compared this to like the previous year when nothing happened. Like Liverpool didn't say. I'm glad the Everton fans will be happy about that.
I think
Anyway.
actually the top bit is a comparison of a week before, not after.
Oh, right.
Before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, right. Yeah, a week before. Yeah. So, yeah. So you can see like clearly the difference between them, and I'll play this for you as well.
You can see, well, maybe you can't see, but the bus route is outlined, and if you take it to, like, if you drag it, pause it, and drag it because it's going too fast.
Right now, I'll just reduce the speed. Slow.
Yeah, I think it's still, yeah. So, if you zoom out a bit, you'll see the bus route starts as it starts. We can track how the pollution kind of followed the bus as it was going along across Liverpool.
Yeah.
Which, sorry, yes. Right.
Yeah, so you can see like the path in which it took, and also like the way the pollution like follows the bus as well. So most likely when we're throwing up the flares, and also when it peaked, and it's mostly around the strand, and you can see the time as well when it's peaked around around this time here. I think it should be around 6-ish.
So it's marked Tunde at the.
Oh.
So start and end is when the parade happened.
Oh yeah, right. So this is the start. Oh yeah, so that's the point at which, so you can see the difference like in the heat map. So yeah, and just like Jackie said as well, like it was raining, and humidity is also like quite a huge factor with the PM, because these particles tend to stay around and linger around when it's humid. So another thing we did look at was how the index of multiple deprivation, correlated with the deployed sensors around Liverpool, and we did find that a couple of places around the north of Liverpool and south of Liverpool, like we did see around an IMD level of like 1 decal, which means like in those deprived areas there were higher air quality levels there. So which we don't know what exactly is there, but we can see it from the data that these areas do have air quality issues from the data. So it was in a couple of areas around North Liverpool, and though it's not really evident in the city center as much, and there was a sensor in Aikport, which was one of the concerns we saw, and was, I don't know if it's kind of like one of the deprived areas as well. Yeah. So
was the opposite, no? The Aikport sensor was the one that was very interesting because it's not a deprived area.
Oh, yeah.
But the air quality did not correlate. It was the opposite. It was very poor air quality
Where was
in
that,
Aikport.
City
Yeah.
centre?
Sorry?
No.
Was that the city centre?
This-
No,
No, the
April,
April.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a deprived area, but it did have local.
I think it's actually this one.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, it could be plenty of multiple factors. I mean, in the
Mhm.
end, if it is a car just idling underneath the sensor every single day,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like there's a few things that we cannot know.
Yeah. So I think it's a residential area.
Yeah, it was not in the not
Mm.
April Road. It was like one of the residential corners.
Yeah.
Was this just on one particular day?
No, this was the average of I think 9 months.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
It's good once to get people upset about it.
Yes.
Yeah, it sort of sells out.
Yeah.
Norfolk, or does that have anything to do with the docks? Potentially.
We
Yeah.
think so. Yes.
It's very industrial as well.
But when you talk about the cars idling, how many sensors are there in the market?
So we do have like in that area, it's just one sensor there. So no, which is kind of like a thing we're also trying to promote, because if you have more of these sensors, the better you can capture like what's happening around, and don't use one sensor to assume what's happening in other places, which is kind of like if you look at how the government body, the air quality body in the UK, they look at the air quality levels. They use a sensor in one of their stations, which is around Speak. Yeah, and do like a background air quality analysis. So estimate what's happening in Liverpool. The sensor is in Speak. You can't really tell what's happening in the city center. They do have a couple of NO2 sensors around here for PM. I don't think so today.
No, I think the nearest one is the nearest PM is the one in rural Tranmere,
Yeah.
and then there's one I think in Boodle, was it?
It was Bridge,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So so if you have more of this sensor, the better data you have to make a lot of conclusions around air quality in Liverpool. And yeah, so that's a couple of the projects we've done in Liverpool here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Places again.
So so places again.
So so we've been doing plenty of playing around with the data and testing things and trying to figure things out on our own and trying to look at results and things. But what is the point of all this? I mean, in the end, did we really need sensors to know that the LFC parade was polluted? Or did we really need sensors to know that bonfire night produces PM? Like, obviously the answer is no. But the whole idea is to find those kind of points where we don't know what's happening, where we don't expect something to be happening. And so like heat maps are nice and things kind of proves the point, but it's not a great kind of thing to analyze because we know that's wrong and we know that's going to cause issues. We need to find the issues we don't know about, the issues that are hidden and we're completely blind to them. So we'd like to try to solve all of air quality and make everything clean, and there's plenty of infinite solutions. We can all do active travel and use public transport and talk to a council, and we can all just stop using cars and clean the streets, etc., etc. We can all do many things, but it will all not be enough in the end. But all of them are helpful. All of them are good. So I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I'm actually trying to encourage everyone to do all of those things. As I said, we're kind of blinded by the big problems. Like, obviously air quality is terrible on bonfire night, and then everyone seems to focus on the big obvious problems, and yes, maybe the North Docks are full of industrial kind of waste, and air pollution there is pretty bad. But what are we not seeing there? Because to an extent, there is a way of tackling those problems which we know about, but the ones we don't know about is the trick. One thing we'd like to do, or we try to do, is on the projects that we're working with the council, we want to lead this to having data that's accurate and reliable enough to kind of spur some sort of accountability, and who's responsible for this. Because yes, to an extent we're all responsible for this, but we cannot all as individuals solve this. So we need to find someone who is going to be accountable for this and kind of tackle them and kind of together try to tackle these problems. Because individually, yeah, as I said, small actions are great, but we can't solve everything with them. Another thing that is the holy grail of this industry of air quality sensors is, and by the way, these are categorized in a category called low cost air quality sensors, because the kind of high end reference stations are these massive 50,000 pound stations, which are like Tunde said, they're in one place and speaks for all of Liverpool, and that's not actually really true. So yeah, what we tend to do is have these low cost sensors that are reliable enough to kind of deploy all across a city, all across an area, wherever you want, and use those to kind of find those issues, those problems I've been talking about. And the holy grail in this industry of low-cost air quality sensors is speciation and source attribution. And what I mean by that is speciation is understanding what the composition of the air is, what is it that's in the air, what's PM. So yeah, we talk about PM 2.5, but as I said, PM 2.5 can be a plethora of things. If we find what those actually are, and or at least what they're likely to be, then we can start finding where they're coming from and where we can start tackling the problems. So for that, I'm not saying we have this already done. We are working on, with these sensors, what we do is, yes, we read the concentrations for PM1, PM2.5, PM10, but those are concentrations, and also, in my opinion, not the greatest way of seeing things. I mean, that's how the industry has kind of fallen into that sort of concentration reading, but actually we count every particle we can with our sensors and categorize them into bins, and those bins are like 0.2 to 0.5 microns, and so each count goes into a different bin, so size range, and so then we kind of categorize what those really actually are without having to bundle them up into a concentration that's kind of a mixture, because PM 2.5 is the combination of PM1 and everything that's above PM1 up to 2.5, and PM10 is the combination of PM1, PM 2.5 and everything that's between PM 2.5 and 10. So that also kind of muddles things up, and so what we want to try to do is via the proportion of what's in the air, of what our particle counters count, try to figure out what's likely to be in that mix of air. And so that we have plenty of graphs like this, but this is just okay, that's not that great.
Can I ask,
Yeah.
it's good to get a baseline, isn't it? And see how the improvements are. I think that's what's very important.
Yeah.
But also, you map where the hotspots are.
Yeah.
Has there been any sort of analysis against like health records or other things like that?
Yes, that's part of the multiple deprivation index, and that's another thing. We're trying to get a bit more accurate on that because like our first tests were very well. Our first analysis was very kind of vague. It turned out to be not so great. So we're trying to figure out like hospital admissions compared to hospital admissions related to respiratory issues compared to the areas where those people live. But obviously that started involving.
So that could also go towards active travel evidence monitoring and
Yes.
evaluation.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I don't, as far as I know, we don't use at all.
No, which is
Could be great.
yeah, definitely.
And also negotiating with councils and changing their minds of why it's important.
Well, that's another project which we didn't include in these presentations, mostly because we don't have any nice graphs to show just yet. But we're working with the council during their implementation of school streets. They're doing school streets which they deployed some of our sensors before they started doing school streets. Then they, if anyone doesn't know what school streets are, is that they close the street where where the school is during pickup during drop-off and pickup times, so that no cars can go in, and to kind of try to reduce cars idling and hazards to children. And so what they did is we in a bunch of schools we deployed the sensors outside the schools, monitored for a couple of months before they implemented these measures, and then after that. And we're still in kind of the after analysis of that. Literally only just last week we got a few confirmation data of what had happened in each of the schools during this period, and so we're going through the analysis. That's why we didn't add it, because we don't have any cool graphs to show. But
just
yeah.
Just to follow up on about the health data, because it's not just respiratory, it's also cardiovascular.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even like mental health.
Absolutely.
Dementia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think another thing we've also done, answering your question as well, like it's look at the sensors and compare them to like the UK limits, and also what the UK limits for Liverpool was. And we realized that some of the sensors that we did, deploy along the roadside were actually higher than the actual, UK limits that was reported by the city. So, which, like we said, the sensor sitting and speak does not really speak for the rest of the group.
Indeed.
So I think we've done it as well and compare it to what the actual annual average should be.
Yeah.
Because in terms of my experience of Liverpool City Council and their air quality monitoring, it's been like diffusion tubes, using diffusion tubes.
Yes, but
Yeah, so is the next year reporting, are they going to use your data?
no, because they're tied to European standards that they need to follow, and the protocol for the European standards is with diffusion tubes.
So, yeah.
They have to do it with diffusion tubes around their own kind of stations.
So on that, talking about clean air zone, which would be great.
Yep.
Can the data go towards that as well? Because at the moment they have only certain sensors, and they say if they bring in clean air zone, it's not going to improve the area where the problems are. But at the moment, stop highlighting issues in the grid. Clean air zone now, as far as I can see, there's only 1 or 2 sensors in that area. So.
Yes, unfortunately for that, you'd need to test for a long period for NO2, which is what they associate cars with. Obviously, PM is also kind of a big important factor for cars, but people tend to associate NO2 directly to cars, and we couldn't use our data because most of the sensors we have in the city center are only particulate matter. Obviously, if we go and deploy now we would be very happy. And
You can assume that, can't you?
yeah, there's to an extent a lot of assumption that can go, and usually during analyzing air quality, you go into a lot of assumptions. But then there's a lot of pushback then that, well, these aren't accurate, these aren't reference grade, these aren't, this isn't NO2, so PM is not proven to be directly linked to cars, so done. Nothing can be done about it. And we obviously know that's not the case, but it's hard to fight a lot of the kind of multiple people and multiple ideas and multiple kind of things.
Just
working.
in terms of your projects, so is it mainly the council that's employing to do this, or?
So, I'm not sure how much I'm meant to reveal, but so.
The stream.
Cut the stream. No, so yes, most of our sensors were for the university, and a professor, Johnny Heim, which I think most of you know probably. I've seen you in there, in his kind of roundtables and things. And so, yeah, most of our sensors are originally for the university. Then the university kind of contract ended, and they did not want to kind of keep on paying for us to maintain it and the data. And so that was the end. So now according to the contract, our kind of the sensors are ours, and we kind of continue collecting the data and still analyze them and still kind of work on it. There's several projects that came through the university, and so they're all kind of big part of that big mesh of sensors, the air quality network. There was also one of these 10 of these devices that are deployed out there were intended to be deployed like a before and after study, like with school streets, but for the bus route 10, which was going to be hydrogen buses, and it didn't happen. So then we just are still in the before technically. But those sensors we've used to kind of analyze as well and test other things and look at what's happening.
There's loads of electric buses now, so you might be picking up on some of that data.
Yes. Yeah. That's definitely an interesting. I mean, there's plenty of very interesting use cases which we could kind of start analyzing. Unfortunately, we have like our hands full all the time, trying to figure this data out and trying to understand. I'd probably be interesting to, even if we are allowed to share the data and for multiple people to like just have multiple people analyze.
That sharing data with others?
Well, yeah, I don't know at this point. We'd have to it depends. Some sensors are like some sensors, the ones that are kind of under contract still active. Those are for the city, for the Liverpool City Council, and those we can definitely not share the data just yet, I think. The rest of them, I think we could probably find a way of.
We could, citizens that are aware of it could ask the council to share.
Oh yeah, that as well. Yes.
And if people wanted to, if people had funding for other projects to run at things, then we're always looking for
funding their own projects, and absolutely. I said this was not a commercial pitch.
We never have any funding to work with Liverpool University.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about data, not just of admissions, but where people live.
Yes.
I think that would be
That would be very interesting, and for a time, like some of the sensors were deployed outside people's houses who had children with respiratory issues, and they were installed outside their school and outside their houses. We weren't allowed to see obviously any medical records or anything, but we did get kind of to have that comparison between what was worse, their school or their house. And that, as far as I understood, yielded interesting results, but that I think most of that analysis was done by Johnny at the time. And yeah. So yes, there's plenty of interesting things to be done with medical kind of records and things. It's also a bit problematic, I think, because of GDPR issues and all that.
They getting the data from the NHS, and it's quite so.
You should be able to. I mean, it's like the kind of the way, making it blind, isn't it? So you just like virtually listen.
I mean, there are ways, but there are also not ways. Like they're very good, and depending on what it is, like you can revert, you can work out where and identify. Because yes, you can be like, oh yes, we haven't got attached people to it, whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't need very many variables to be able to pull stuff together to then go, well, that would be that person, wouldn't it? So it's like there's a lot of hand waving, it feels at times, around like, oh yes, well, we'll just anonymise the data as if it's this like simple one step. But there's a lot of people who've done good research, usually to kind of identify legislators who are going, oh yes, well the data will be anonymised, blah blah blah, and then they go, well yeah, but see how we got this anonymised data and tied it back to you because we knew 3 things about you.
You can do it almost in a physical way with heat maps or postcodes. You get postcode data.
And there are ways around some of those things.
You can pass on the map.
It would be working with the NHS, whatever. It would be good to work with the people who have the data, and then there are ways around some of this sort of stuff, but it's not quite as simple as just get rid of the name and the address column and it's all fine. And I'm not saying that you were suggesting
I was suggesting it should be
Yeah. So it is tricky, and we've tried a few things here and there. They've not yielded like super interesting things that we've been able to see, but obviously we're always willing to have people help and look at the data as well.
I'd love to try and put some data updates together. Because I think there's a lot in public health at the minute in Liverpool. There's Salon city. Social determinants of health. So this is something we should be looking at if they are serious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Right. Just finishing with this speciation and source attribution. That's essentially what we've been trying to do, and finding where things are coming from and how, and then being able to tackle them directly. Fortunately, this is extremely hard, and we've not cracked it yet. But anyway, we're still working on it. Lastly, what can everyone do about a normal person, and someone who doesn't have access to a network of sensors? And as I said earlier, every single little thing helps, because even if it's not going to, if riding your bike won't tackle the whole issue, at least it will get bike riding into people's minds, and it can be also psychological, and people are the more people they see riding bikes, they think, actually I do like riding bike, why won't I? Asking and getting involved, this type of thing, is always helpful. Getting people to talk about air quality, to exchange ideas is always great. Taking care of oneself is also very important, and for that we've started developing simplified dashboards like that one. I can't really see. But it's a phone dashboard that tells you, depending on your nearest location, tie it to the nearest sensor and tell you air quality is good or bad, and you don't need to understand what PM 2.5 is or how bad the concentrations are, as long as you just have a little score that says cool or not cool, don't go out.
I've got an app connected to Strada, because we get quality on that, and I don't know what it is, Aeternum, I think, or something like that.
Okay.
So it'd be good to get something like that connected, because you just locally, it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all data sources we'd welcome them, definitely.
When it says on the web forecast, for the air quality, what was it?
That's speak. That's just saying how good or bad the air quality is in Speak.
In terms of particulates and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in terms of air
But
quality
in
stuff.
Speak,
I don't know. I think they also tie in satellite data and things, but satellite data tends to be not granular at all.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a blanket, all of the northeast and northwest, and actually all of the north of England is good. Done.
Yeah, I
And
think
it's
that
like,
there's a lot of modeling done like with the sensors around and the data they have, the estimation of like the wind direction, wind speed, all of that modeling and
So what is it about hot weather? Normally notice that when it's hot weather, the air quality goes bad.
Yes, so that is a fairly noticeable effect, especially with NO2. It seems to be a very kind of direct trend that with heat, NO2 lingers a bit more. And there's this, so NO2, as far as I understand it, and I'm not a chemist, so I'm not sure, I'm willing to be corrected, but NO2 with sunlight decomposes into ozone, and that's also very not good. So yeah, like heat and sunlight does definitely affect air quality and pollution and makes it worse. Yeah.
yeah.
Makes
And I
sense.
think miscarriages as well, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another thing to also note, like, is the AQI, because when they report the air quality, they report it in AQI, which is sort of like a combination of all the pollution, NO2, PM, PM2.5, SO2, I think, and CO. So it's kind of like combining all of them and choosing which one's worse, and they report that as like the air quality.
Yeah, and that's also, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the AQI. It's a score that's mashed up of multiple things, and just the worst one is that's what it says, and then you kind of miss a bit of the point of trying to understand what exactly is happening. But it's good enough to an extent to kind of estimate, okay, air quality is kind of not good right now. Better if I can avoid going out or whatever, then sure. And one thing we've learned, which I find very interesting, one of the best advocates for air quality overall in all our kind of different projects and things is children. Children, like if you get air quality into their minds and their curriculum and schools and things, they tend to feed back that to their parents, and then their parents are guilt-tripped into worrying about air quality. And that has been a very effective way of getting people to talk and understand and worry about air quality. So if you can talk to children about air quality, that's excellent as well. And yeah, I have a couple of frequently asked questions to make this a bit, well, I've meant to make it interactive and quick, but maybe it's already been interactive. I usually get these two questions. What's the air quality like right now? And as we've been talking, I've been running an experiment on ourselves. And so, as you can see, there we have a sensor right here, and that's been sampling all the time we've been here talking. VOCs have spiked up throughout the whole talk, which is unexpected. I don't know what happened there. Maybe.
Would that just be people reading?
So that would be the
Possibly.
CO2 reading rather than the VOC.
VOC, I mean, CO2 will go down to CO2 in a minute, but CO2 I expect will have gone quite high as we fill the space. Temperature, obviously, as soon as aircon came on, it started going low. Pressure kind of mimicking. And one thing I wanted to say, this is comparing it directly to the one that's out there on the lamppost. So we're now comparing. It's still in the sun, right? Which explains why the temperature outdoor, as you can see on this graph, temperature outdoor is a lot higher. as expected. Yeah. Humidity seems fairly normal. Now the more interesting bit. Oh, that's not very interesting. Okay, we haven't generated a lot of PM, which is good to an extent. Outdoor seems to be, well, actually we've kind of reached levels of outdoor where the baseline was. So I set this sensor up at exactly, this, I don't know if you can see that, but let me make that bigger. This is PM10, and I set the sensor in here in this room at 4:30. As we started the talk, the PM did go up, and actually to, I mean, that's for PM10, that's not super high, but like it's not nothing. So we have actually generated some sort of PM, which has reached the levels of the construction site in here. So that's, but again, we don't know how bad or good those PM levels are.
We only have good particulates.
Yeah, we only have all positive particulates. All positive.
Do you have mobile versions as well? Something like motor travel?
Well, technically, yes. So they're all fairly mobile. I mean, this sensor battery powered, and it will last. I mean, on its own without charging or anything. It kind of depends. They have variable sampling rates and times which are configurable, so it kind of depends on you. But like on its own, it can last a week maybe. And
so you can clamp it to your bike?
Yeah, definitely. You can clamp it to your bike, take it on a ride for a couple of days, even on a camping trip, and it probably like sample across the whole trip and give you. It's as I said earlier, like it's wirelessly sending the data all the time. I don't know if you'd arrived by then, but it's said. But if it doesn't. If it doesn't find a network, it will store the data and kind of send it over whenever it finds a network. So you don't really have to worry about connectivity if you're doing something like that, or going on a trip to Wales and climbing Mount Snowdon, and then there's no signal there. Doesn't matter, you'll get the data eventually. And lastly, I mean CO2, yeah, as expected. CO2 in here went. I actually expected it to be a bit higher, but yeah, 1,600 ppm is fairly okay for the group we are. Yeah.
Good indicator for occupancy.
Yeah, good indicator for occupancy. Whereas outdoors, obviously, it's kind of remained at a steady level.
What's the cost for the sensor to run it for the year?
Oh, that I don't know. I mean, there's like. Technically, we sell it as a software as a service model, so it kind of depends on a bit of a trade-off between how long you want to have it and how long and what specifically you want to fill your cartridge in, because it's a cartridge, so you can kind of plug and play different components of what you want the cartridge to have, and then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like A&E or a Logan bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely. We actually have, we have, oh, this is okay. Let me go to, I mean, we've tested, we have a sensor at the Royal, right in front of the Royal. Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm not used
West
to your.
Derby Road.
Sorry?
West Derby Road.
West, yeah. So, wow.
Oh,
sorry. Can't control this thing. I'll let you.
Yeah, I think it should be here. Should be this, right?
Yep. There you go.
Prescott Street.
So I suppose it's Old Royal rather than
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Which has been like running for a while. That's part of the bus route project I was talking about earlier, because bus route 10 goes through there. Let's at least. I mean, this thing. Obviously, this platform I'm using is kind of what we use to monitor things. It's not quite for analysis, so I mean, we'll just see the facts, what the readings are, not necessarily any sort of analysis or understanding of what's been happening. This is PM 2.5 at the Royal. Doesn't seem like in the last month there's been like anything out of the ordinary and worrying. But
During demolition.
during the demolition there were pretty intense spikes, but I mean, yes, there was clear spikes, but it wasn't. I actually kind of wanted something more exciting to happen, but it was fairly well managed, I'd say. I hope, or simply wind pushing it away from our sensor could be as well.
Water to dampen it down.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see it.
Yeah, I think there was a time like something collapsed.
Collapsed,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
When
didn't
it-
happen around.
when-
Someone's car.
Yeah, but it didn't happen around where the sensor was. I think it was at the back. So
Yeah, exactly, and that was very frustrating.
So that yeah, there's spikes, but nothing that got in the hospital
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, placing a sensor in A&E sounds like a very interesting idea, and like would be welcome. And yeah, so the outdoor sensor is solar panel powered, so you just put it up and you don't worry ever about it. So you just leave it. And like these sensors, I mean, this one at the Royal we deployed, I think maybe in 2023. Maybe early, no, yeah, end of 2023, and we haven't done anything to it. It's just been running, and so yeah, still running. So it's helpful for our data, but like obviously if we can share the data and anyone's interested in it,
The
then
bus lanes will be coming in soon, I think.
sorry.
The bus lanes will be coming in, so the final plans will be put together. So
Right.
construction hopefully at some point this year. It's still beginning. And cycle lanes as well, so there'll be a spike and then hopefully there'll be a real difference in a year or two. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did we even
And-
mention like the
Outdoor unit is not like this. It
Yeah.
does have.
I
solar
did
panel.
mention it real quick at the beginning. Yeah, so we do have the same thing, but with a solar panel, and that's our outdoor version, which you can, there's one just, which is the one we're comparing here, here. Yeah, so the outdoor, so the green line is what's happening out there on that sensor, and the blue line is this. I actually don't see. I've been talking about indoor and outdoor and blue line and green line, and I just realized you can't really see that. So, yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so in this case, for example, the higher value, the one that's going up, is this sensor, and the one that's kind of remained flat is the one down there, and up like CO2. This one is this the indoor one, and out there CO2, nothing's happening. And the other frequently asked question I get is, what's the air quality like where I live? Everyone wants to know that always. So a bit of an average over the last month across our network, and yeah, as kind of the Royal, the readings I just showed you of the Royal. It seems kind of Liverpool has been fairly quiet. This is a monthly average. Liverpool seems to be fairly quiet in terms of, this is PM 2.5. We could check PM 10. Okay, something's happening in Aeternum again.
Let's switch out and put 41.9.
Yeah, interesting.
We're bad on that.
Wait. Okay. Toxteth is, I don't think we have, I mean, We have one here, which is not exactly toxic. Those levels are not right. But yeah, not too bad. Yeah, all across, I mean, well,
So there's a big gap in the data around certain part.
yes.
Part toxic.
Yeah, we don't have enough sensors there.
It's because you haven't campaigned and gone.
I
I mean, all the people on the stream will be upset because there aren't any sensors on the Wirral. We've got, I think, 3 people on the Wirral watching.
Sorry. Yes. Nothing.
So
Nothing of
obviously
that.
they need to go and talk to the council and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some of these over across the water. Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, I think that kind of concludes our presentation. I still welcome for more questions.
I've got 2 questions.
Yeah.
There are some questions online as well.
Oh, right.
Do you want to do them first?
Can do. So Laura asked 2 questions. So I've got 3 questions in total from online.
Okay.
So the first one from Laura was, how do they find people engage with air quality issues? She's been surprised how many people don't seem to connect air pollution with consequences for health, etc.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend I find constantly. People, they kind of vaguely know that air quality is bad and there's pollution, but they don't. No one really knows. No one that's not in this space really understands or knows how bad it can be for chronic illnesses and like long-term health, and how it can actually really affect other things than your lungs. Like it does kind of enter your bloodstream and kind of irrigate from there, and like cause brain issues and like all kinds of issues. Yes, and yeah, it is true that people don't kind of match those ideas. So yeah, as I said earlier, educating people and talking about air quality is kind of a big thing to do, because like people are not realizing it.
It's the biggest environmental risk to public health.
So a follow-up question then was, the evidence of health impacts from, like, for example, wood-burning stoves is fairly clear, citation needed, but but educated people who seem to care about health still install and use them a lot, which feels like a blind spot. I suppose maybe not a question, but more of a...
No, I agree, and that kind of reminds me. This is another project which was a very big success for us, but it wasn't Liverpool based, so I didn't add it. But in London, we went and they did school streets as well, and for a specific school, we installed sensors at the front of the school and at the back of the school. And the front of the school has like people picking the same as here, pick up at drop off and pick up times where the school was closed, the street was closed, and that seemed to kind of it did have a positive impact, and air quality improved at the front of the school. But what no one saw coming, or no one understood until we had sensors there, was that the school, that most of the pollution was actually coming from the back of the school, and kind of correlating events and trying, and news feeds and figuring things out. There's, and maybe a bit of local knowledge as well, but there's a canal at the back of the school, and there's barges on the canal, and those barges were burning wood burners, and that was causing, I mean, the playground was right in front of the canal, and like, I don't know how no one had realized that before sensors, or no one kind of had done that kind of link, which, yeah, obviously once you have the data and you see something is spiking at the back where your concern was at the front, kind of suddenly becomes like an alarming thing, and I need to figure out what's happening back there. But before the data, no one kind of made that link, which was very interesting to us. And yes, I think like people still kind of, even people who know that PM is pretty bad to your health, they still, it's fine, I'll just burn a bit, it's not too bad.
Except for drying clothes, cooking, gas, particularly.
Yes, actually, like we've done a couple of experiments, not projects, but the worst PM we've seen ever usually comes from someone cooking. Like if you put our sensor in a kitchen, it's definitely going to spike up like crazy. Which again, to an extent, is not. We don't exactly know how much of that PM is really bad for you and how much is, but in the summation of all, it won't be good.
Is indoor cooking similar to barbecuing? Well, I know it will sort of be dispersed more than...
Yeah, I don't know, but that's actually a good question. We've never tested for that.
Just because there's more sort of burning.
Yeah, no, but that makes sense. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So the final
Yeah.
question from online was from Pat, who says, like, the education model works right with sustainability. Are there ways to show students the air quality around school?
Yes. So that's been a bit difficult because talking to schools is in particular hard because they usually don't have a budget for any of this, and air quality is not kind of seen as a big priority. So yeah, I mean, obviously we'd like to set up sensors all across all of the schools, but that's kind of not viable from a financial perspective. But there are a couple of schools we've talked to and they've engaged with it, and so we do have a couple of sensors that are not part of the School Streets project, but are directly, the school actually kind of chipped in and paid for a couple of sensors. Specifically 2 schools have done that, and we made a very kind of simplified dashboard for them, and they kind of have it displayed at in the school in some sort of tablet, or I don't know exactly where they have that displayed. And so kids do engage, and they kind of, oh, it's higher than yesterday, oh, it's lower, and oh, yesterday we didn't have that many cars, and they report. We haven't seen that firsthand, but the directors of the school report that they are pretty engaged, and they're excited to see the spikes or not the spikes and things. So yeah, as I said earlier, like engaging with children seems to be very, very effective. The problem is always financial and having those sensors in the schools actually.
Having some visuals probably great because it's invisible, isn't it? So
Yeah.
nobody relates to it. But
Exactly. Until you see like a little, you see until you see a little line going up and down and then correlate it to your activities. I mean, yeah, that's pretty exciting, and children have engaged. I think no one should discredit children because they understand it, and they understand it pretty fast. Yeah.
That's it. Pat has, in response to you asking, he said, please share a link. So I'm going to, I guess.
A link to?
Well, I guess maybe to the dashboards. That,
right. Yeah. Actually, those are. Yeah. So we can share the public link to the dashboard. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'll send it to him later.
Okay.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm going to share a link to the Aeternum website, which isn't super. Like, there isn't loads of stuff on it.
Yeah. That's work in progress.
Yeah.
So how many sensors have you got in Liverpool at the moment?
Joining all the projects, it's about 60. Unfortunately, some of them are some of them are private, and those are mostly in perfect working condition. Some of them have been out there for so long that they're no longer super trustworthy.
Sure, that was the other question I was going to ask you, was what is the lifespan before they start?
Yeah, so most of it, so for particulate matter it's quite long, or at least the manufacturer kind of promises it's quite long. We have come across a couple of them faulty, and in terms of operational kind of viability, our biggest problem is spiders. for particulate matter. But if that's all cleared out and that's fine. Well, kind of, yeah. Some of them have been completely destroyed by spiders. Like they go into the circuitry, because obviously it has to be in a semi sort of open kind of, yeah, because you need the air to sample it. So yeah, like there's very small spiders.
There is a mesh.
There is a mesh, and they still get in there. But for the gases we use electrochems, which electrochemical sensors that essentially have an oxidation reaction that converts it into electrical signal, then that's calibrated and then reported as a gas value. The manufacturer guarantees 9 months for them, but we've stretched it to 2.5 years with at least kind of 80% of accuracy still kind of remaining. So pretty good, at least if you say trust the first 9 months or the first year, and from then on you just take it as indicative. It's still good enough to understand something. Yeah.
And those things are relatively, we could go and pull the sensor down, swap the sensor heads out, and then redeploy it.
Exactly.
So there's a cost in the sensor heads, but it's just the sensor heads that would get replaced.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of kind of the plug and play nature of the cartridges and the things we swap out from the cartridges.
And from, in terms of about 60 sensors, how many of them are kind of producing publicly accessible data?
I'd say about 40 maybe are usable. But again, of those 40, I'm not entirely sure all of them are still.
How easy did you find it installing, say, like portable ones? Because I imagine that would be a bit better as well.
Yes. So, in theory, we don't install them, and we just provide them, and you can install them wherever you want, and facing, as long as they face south, that's all the instructions that whoever is going to install them needs. However, obviously we are part of a business and we want to make our customers kind of help them and kind of get a relationship with them and etc. So we've installed all of them. So it was not easy, but the council and the university will both kind of helped us with kind of access and permits and things. And obviously, I mean, they're super light and, well, relatively light. They're not a feather, but you just pop a ladder on a lamppost with a high vis and then just screw the clips and then. Sorry?
Got them above the flags, sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We've only ever had one case of actual vandalism or people stealing one, and that was after the 2020 win of Liverpool during the pandemic, the celebrations. Yeah, they well, not only stood it, I think they just went up and smashed it. Just
That was the first generation.
yeah, that was the first generation of our sensors, and they just we just found a couple of batteries and pieces of our sensor lying around. But yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
This one's just a comment, because there was a project called the Clean Air Crew, which was like aimed at schools. I know someone was running up in Sefton.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't tied in with
No, I think they were doing their own thing, and I think I've seen them at one of the roundtables, air quality roundtables, but I don't exactly know what they were doing or what they.
How they were measuring air quality.
Yeah. No.
But it sounds like it should be something that they should be working themselves on.
Yeah. Cool. Then we're done. And yeah, do you want me to disconnect this? Or
yeah, I
like,
think that's
okay, all done.
Cool.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, that's yeah. I mean, well, still super interesting. I learned a lot of it. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. There won't be a Salon next month because it's August, which I always feel like it's kind of summer holiday season. I don't know what the next one's going to be. I haven't actually got the speakers scheduled yet. So if anybody's got any ideas for speakers, that'd be good. There's a couple of possibilities. So I suppose hopefully it'll be the second Wednesday of September. But keep an eye on events.doesliverpool.com to see when the next one's announced. And there's still beer in the fridge and maybe some pizza. Yeah, it's quite big. There's some whole spectral pen and some. We go and look in the fridge and see what there is. Yes, there is.
I completely forgot about having